Humans are, at their very core, social creatures. Our brains are not just built for thinking and problem-solving in isolation, they are intricately wired for connection with others. This fundamental need for social interaction is as vital to our overall health as food, water, and shelter. Think about it. From the moment we are born, we seek out connection. A baby looks for its mother's face. A child thrives in play with friends. Throughout our lives, these social bonds shape who we are, how we feel, and even how our brains function. This isn't just a nice idea, it's a biological imperative, deeply embedded in our neural architecture, honed over millennia of evolution where cooperation was key to survival. The brain's dedication to social interaction is truly remarkable. Specific regions and networks within our brains are specialized for understanding and navigating the social world. These areas help us recognize faces, interpret emotions, understand others' intentions, and communicate effectively. When we engage with others, these parts of our brain light up with activity, much like a muscle getting a workout. This social workout keeps these neural pathways strong and efficient. It's a continuous process of learning and adapting, driven by our interactions. Without this regular engagement, these crucial areas can become less active, potentially leading to changes in our cognitive abilities and emotional well-being, underscoring the deep-seated need for community. Consider how our brains process a simple conversation. It's not just about hearing words. Your brain is simultaneously decoding tone of voice, facial expressions, and body language. It's accessing memories, making predictions, and formulating responses, all within fractions of a second. This complex dance is orchestrated by a symphony of brain regions working together. This intricate system highlights why rich, meaningful social interactions are so stimulating for our brains. They provide a multifaceted challenge that keeps our cognitive functions sharp and resilient. The very structure of our brain reflects this deep need for connection, emphasizing that we are truly better together. This inherent wiring for social connection means that a lack of it can have profound consequences. Just as our bodies need exercise, our brains need social stimulation to maintain their health and vitality. The absence of this stimulation isn't just a matter of feeling lonely. It can trigger a cascade of biological responses. These responses can affect everything from our mood and stress levels to our cognitive clarity and even our physical health. Understanding this fundamental aspect of our neurobiology is the first step in appreciating why social isolation can be so detrimental, and more importantly, what we can do to counteract its effects and nurture our inherently social brains. When we experience prolonged social isolation, our brains begin to change in ways we might not immediately notice. This was starkly highlighted for many during the COVID-19 pandemic, but it's a reality that older adults and others facing loneliness have known for a long time. The brain, deprived of its usual social nourishment, can enter a state of stress. This stress isn't just a fleeting feeling, it can lead to measurable alterations in brain structure and function. For instance, areas involved in memory and emotional regulation can be affected. Think of it like a garden. If it's not tended with interaction and connection, some parts may not flourish as they should, impacting the entire ecosystem of the mind. One of the most commonly reported experiences during periods of isolation is brain fog. This isn't a formal medical diagnosis, but it perfectly describes that feeling of mental slowness, difficulty concentrating, and forgetfulness. You might find yourself struggling to find the right words, or feeling like your thoughts are moving through molasses. This happens because social interaction is a powerful cognitive stimulant. It forces our brains to be alert, to process information quickly, and to engage multiple cognitive functions at once. When that stimulation is drastically reduced, our brains can become less efficient, leading to that frustrating sense of fogginess. It's a sign that your brain is missing its usual dynamic engagement. During the pandemic, many people, regardless of age, reported experiencing this brain fog. Students struggled with remote learning, and adults found it harder to focus while working from home. This widespread experience underscored how critical daily social exchanges are for maintaining mental sharpness. Even small, seemingly insignificant interactions, chatting with a colleague by the coffee machine or catching up with a neighbor, contribute to our cognitive vitality. The absence of these micro-interactions, compounded over time, can lead to a noticeable decline in how sharp and responsive we feel. Our brains are essentially yearning for the complex, stimulating input that social life provides, and brain fog is a clear signal of this unmet need. For older adults, the effects of social isolation on the brain can be particularly concerning, as it can sometimes exacerbate or mimic symptoms of cognitive decline. Loneliness has been linked to an increased risk of developing dementia. The brain changes can include a reduction in the size of certain brain regions critical for memory, like the hippocampus. This doesn't mean that everyone who experiences isolation will develop dementia, but it highlights the protective role of social engagement in maintaining brain health as we age. The brain is a dynamic organ, constantly adapting to its environment, and prolonged isolation unfortunately signals a less enriched, less stimulating world for it to navigate and thrive in. Social isolation doesn't just make us feel lonely, it can also subtly erode our social skills. A key part of this is what scientists call social cognition. In simple terms, social cognition is our brain's ability to understand and navigate the social world. It involves a complex set of skills like perceiving social cues, understanding others' emotions and intentions, and responding appropriately in social situations. Think of it as the mental toolkit we use to build relationships and interact effectively with those around us. This toolkit includes our theory of mind, which is our capacity to recognize that other people have thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and intentions that are different from our own. When we are isolated, we get fewer opportunities to practice these crucial social cognitive skills. Reading facial expressions, for example, becomes less rehearsed when we see fewer faces. Remembering names and details about people can become more challenging when our social circle shrinks or our interactions become less frequent. Understanding unspoken social rules or picking up on subtle emotional shifts in a conversation also requires regular practice. Without this consistent engagement, our ability to read the room or empathize deeply can become a bit rusty. It's like a muscle that weakens from disuse. Our social processing abilities can become less sharp and intuitive if not regularly exercised through real-world interactions. Several brain studies have begun to map out the real changes that occur due to social isolation. Research has shown that prolonged loneliness can be associated with alterations in brain regions critical for social processing. For instance, one significant study, published in Nature Communications in 2020, examined data from the UK Biobank, involving nearly 40,000 middle-aged and older adults. This large-scale study found that self-reported loneliness was linked to specific patterns of brain structure. These patterns involve changes in areas collectively known as the default mode network, which is active when we are introspective but also plays a role in social thinking, memory, and future planning. The study indicated that in lonely individuals, these default mode network regions showed differences in volume and connectivity. Specifically, there were associations with increased gray matter volume in some parts of this network, but also altered patterns of connection between these areas and other brain regions involved in sensory processing. Researchers theorized that these changes might reflect an increased focus on inner thoughts, imagination, or reminiscing in lonely individuals, perhaps as a way to compensate for the lack of external social stimulation. The key takeaway is that loneliness isn't just a feeling. It leaves a tangible signature on the brain, particularly in networks vital for how we process our social world and our own place within it. Now for some good news, our brains are incredibly resilient. One of the most fascinating concepts in neuroscience that explains this resilience is cognitive reserve. Think of cognitive reserve as your brain's mental backup system, or its ability to withstand damage and maintain function. It's like having a well-built intellectual scaffold that can support your cognitive abilities even when faced with challenges, such as the effects of aging, stress, or even the early stages of brain disease. This reserve isn't something you're just born with. It's something you can actively build throughout your life. It's a testament to the brain's amazing capacity for adaptation and growth, often referred to as neuroplasticity. Cognitive reserve helps explain why some people can experience significant brain changes, like those seen in Alzheimer's disease pathology, yet show fewer symptoms in their daily lives compared to others with similar levels of brain change. Their brains have developed alternative ways of getting things done, using different neural pathways or strategies to compensate for any damage. This mental flexibility and efficiency are hallmarks of a strong cognitive reserve. It's not necessarily about the physical size of your brain, but more about how efficiently and flexibly your brain networks operate. Building this reserve is like investing in your brain's long-term health and functionality, providing a buffer against future challenges. why does cognitive reserve specifically help protect against the impacts of things like social isolation? When isolation leads to a reduction in certain types of mental stimulation, a brain with a higher cognitive reserve has more resources to draw upon. It might be better able to find alternative ways to stay engaged or cope with the reduced input. For example, someone with a rich history of learning and complex mental activities might have more robust neural networks that are less susceptible to the use it or lose it principle when social interactions dwindle temporarily. Their brain has more connections and more efficient pathways developed over time. This mental backup system is crucial because it empowers us. It means that even if we face periods of isolation or other brain stressors, we are not passive victims. We have the agency to build up this protective shield. The development of cognitive reserve is strongly linked to life experiences, particularly those that are mentally stimulating and challenging. Education, engaging in complex occupations, and pursuing enriching hobbies all contribute. It's a lifelong process, and it's never too late to start strengthening your brain's inherent resilience. This understanding shifts the focus from what we might lose to what we can actively build and maintain. The power to protect and even rebuild your brain's capacities is largely in your hands. Building cognitive reserve and counteracting the effects of social isolation doesn't require complex medical interventions. It often involves simple, accessible lifestyle choices. One of the most direct antidotes to social isolation is, unsurprisingly, socializing. Make an effort to connect with others regularly. This could be calling a friend, joining a club, volunteering, or even just striking up a conversation with a cashier. Every interaction, big or small, helps to re-engage those social circuits in your brain, keeping them active and healthy. Remember, quality of connections often matters more than quantity. Learning new things is another fantastic way to build cognitive reserve. When you challenge your brain to acquire a new skill or absorb new information, whether it's learning a new language, taking up a musical instrument, or even mastering a new recipe, you are literally forging new neural pathways. This mental stimulation helps to keep your brain agile and adaptable. Think of it as cross-training for your mind. The act of learning itself, the process of grappling with new concepts and overcoming challenges, is incredibly beneficial for brain health. This continuous engagement keeps your cognitive toolkit sharp and ready for action, making your brain more resilient. Brain games and puzzles can also play a role, though they are best seen as one component of a broader brain health strategy. Activities like crossword puzzles, Sudoku, chess, or even engaging video games can challenge specific cognitive skills such as memory, problem-solving, and strategic thinking. While they might not replace the holistic benefits of social interaction or complex learning, they can provide enjoyable mental workouts. The key is to find activities that you find stimulating and challenging. If it feels like mental effort, that's often a good sign that your brain is getting the exercise it needs to stay fit and build that valuable cognitive reserve. Finally, don't underestimate the profound connection between physical exercise and brain health. Regular physical activity increases blood flow to the brain, which delivers essential oxygen and nutrients. It also promotes the growth of new brain cells and strengthens connections between existing ones. Exercise has been shown to reduce stress, improve mood, and enhance cognitive functions, all of which can help counteract the negative effects of isolation. Whether it's a brisk walk, a dance class, or gardening, find a form of movement you enjoy, and make it a consistent part of your routine. Your brain will thank you for it. It's crucial to remember that anyone, regardless of their background or age, can keep learning and challenging their mind. You don't need a fancy degree or a high-powered job to build cognitive reserve. Curiosity is your greatest ally. Stay curious about the world, about other people, and about new ideas. Embrace opportunities to learn and grow, even in small ways. Most of the actions that protect your brain are well within your control. By taking active steps to nurture your social connections, engage your mind, and care for your physical health, you can bounce back from periods of isolation and build a more resilient, vibrant brain for the future. The power truly lies with you.